And we're back. Welcome to Airsoft Radio, your weekly Airsoft live show, coming to you every Monday at 9 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Unlike what that intro just says as 8 p.m., as I spotted as I clicked play there. You can catch us also on the replay or your favorite podcasting platform. If it is your first time here, we normally have 3 co-hosts. We have Sarah, who's actually away today. We have Jim, just over there. Never going to get those arrows right. And myself, Graham. And each week we discuss all things airsoft related, whether it's news, events, or general airsoft topics. But it's not only us on the show. We bring a different guest on each week to give us their insight and opinion. And for this week, we have Angelo Di Vito, one of the UK brand ambassadors for Specna Arms. Welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. And actually, you've been on the show before, back when it was Airsoft Radio, Airsoft Nation Live, wasn't it? So, so welcome back.
Thank you very much indeed. Hi, Jim.
Good evening. Thanks for coming on.
It's going to be a good show indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this, don't forget you can share your views on the topics of the show. You can leave us a comment throughout the show, ask a question, just say hello, and we'll do our very best to feature it or even ask it to the rest of the panel here. And if you do want to subscribe to the show on YouTube, you can just click the red subscribe button. On Facebook, you can type live and our Pewbot will message you later on today and get you subscribed to the show so you'll be notified each time we go live. So with all that fluff out of the way, let's get on with the show. Angelo, for anyone who hasn't heard of you, and you've been in the industry and out the industry and a player for a long time now, would you mind giving players a brief overview of who you are and what you do?
Okay, well, I've been playing around 10 years, well, just over 10 years now. I've run Team Rhino for about 7 or 8 years too, playing all over the country, numerous events. You'll just have to bear with me because I am absolutely full of a cold, so I will be coughing, excuse me. I'm really, really sorry about that. I've been involved as writing, as you well know, Graham, and reviewing numerous products from numerous suppliers, through from ICS to various ancillary products, the security products. I brought the first pistols in the Rudis and the Gladius, say no more. But I've now moved on to a slightly different role, albeit part-time at the moment. I'm now a brand ambassador for Specna Arms, which I'm sure you'll probe me more about that in the coming hour.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is today on the show. We're actually going to talk about brand ambassadors because we've seen the rise of influencers and brands over social media, and brand ambassadors seem to be a growing trend. And we've seen it whether some companies will call it captains, ambassadors, even some people would say sponsor players as such. But it's all about getting the brand out there from a player's perspective. So,
yeah, it is, to be fair. It is that. It's go on, carry on, Graham.
No, I was actually going to say, what would you say in your definition as to what a brand ambassador does? Well,
a brand ambassador, really, I would say, is about marketing. They're marketing guys. It's as simple as that. They're backing the brand. They're looking at the brand. They're sent the kit to look at, to review, first of all, and to give their opinions on. These are not people that have applied for the job. These are people who've been selected by Specna Arms and the European distributors who are Gunfire. I know that's no secret. And they're selected 9 times out of 10 due to their social media presence. If they have a lot of followers on Instagram or on Facebook or YouTube, they're selected for that reason, because it's okay having somebody who likes the brand, but they have no social media presence. There's no marketing there at all. And I'm sure you'll agree that the name of Specna Arms over, I would say, the last 6 months has grown massively, certainly within the UK. But that's not where we're necessarily concentrating. We have guys in Yugoslavia. We even have a guy in Cuba. We've got them in Spain, Italy, France, Portugal. There's a couple of guys in Portugal. And there's myself and Lewis here in the UK. And we're doing a great job so far. You got to bear in mind that all these guys, this is not a full-time job.
No.
This is not one of us driving around all the dealers, speaking to the dealers. I have a slightly different role in the fact that I deal with UK sales as well as being a brand ambassador. I make no bones of it that I don't have a massive social media presence. I have 270 followers on Instagram, and I don't have a YouTube channel, but I do have a lot of connections within the game within the UK, which obviously they're looking to exploit that, which is a natural thing. Who wouldn't? Yeah. And to say I'm only part-time, it's going really well, really well. We've brought some good dealers on. We've JD Airsoft, they've been fantastic with us. Extreme Airsoft are the same. We've got others in mind that I can't just talk about just at the moment that we're negotiating with. But again, this is what we've achieved after 4 or 5 months. And the brand has just grown hugely. I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally the brand, obviously here in Specna Arms well before, but in terms of actually UK supply and the players and hearing players talk about Specna Arms in the UK, it has been almost since, say, March, April, from IWA, a lot more over here in the UK. I don't know what you agree on that one, Jim.
Yeah, it's definitely a brand that's I think caught a lot of people unawares. Sort of seems to have come out of nowhere, even though these things never do. It's a long road to an overnight success. And yeah, I mean, even to the point of where I've literally had conversations, I think, every day for about the last month about Specna Arms with either customers or other suppliers, or, as in sort of find out, what do you know about it? What's going on with it? And it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to find out the same as everyone else.
I think his answer to a lot of people's questions where they ask, Specna Arms have been around a while, but why have they suddenly just become big? It's because people are talking about it more. Yeah. It's as simple as that. To get people to talk about it more, I have to talk to more people about it. So does Lewis. He covers, the southern area and does a fantastic job down there. And we're just talking to more people. The biggest sole difference, I think, with Specna Arms is that we are not just telling people it's good, we're proving it as well. But don't get me wrong, we've made some mistakes. We've had issues, we've had failures with kit, but who doesn't? It's not everybody brings out kit and they never have any problems. I've bought brand new TM guns and the barrels have been full of grease and the hot units have been full of grease and things like that. TM, I don't care what anybody says, TM would put, most people would, good man, Jim, look at that, a big slurp, can't beat that. Some people will put TM at the top, but yeah, I've had problems with their guns straight out of the box like anybody else has, but we have had issues. We've had 1 or 2 issues with the air iron gearbox, but that's been rectified, it's been dealt with. But the biggest sole difference of what we are going to do, certainly in 2020 and beyond, is when I visit a site, and we've done it okay. We were at Anarchy Airsoft with Ian Maxwell and Shane Foote up there. It's only a little site, but it's a grassroots player site. We took the kit up there, but we don't just electrical tie them to a frame. We take them out, we put a battery in them, we fill them with BBs and say, well, go and play for yourself. Don't just listen to me. Go and try it. Now, I'm not here to talk about anybody else, but I know that not everybody does that. And it's not a case of just go and shoot 100 BBs, on the where the chrono is. Go and play a game with it. Excuse me. Go and play an actual game with it, and then come back. We've had no negative feedback from that. None. It's all been good. And prime example, Anarchy Airsoft have now bought Specna Arms for all their high guns because they were that impressed with it. Proof is in the pudding. If you go to buy a new car, what's the first thing you want to do?
Test drive it.
You want to test drive it, don't you?
Absolutely.
See, right, mate. I look up the insurance.
Jim, if it's a really nice car, though, you ring its neck.
Then I definitely look up the insurance.
And then
so I'll check the warranty.
It's about prioritising, I guess, but that's what we let people do, and it's been so good, the feedback we've had, and it's not been a case of, we are being really, really selective about who gets kit. My God, we've even given Graham one. We've been sending Graham
broken within a week.
yeah. Well, we know that. We're having the gearbox specially reinforced, and we've had the rails TIG welded to the upper, things like that. So we know he's going to destroy it, so we thought we'd do that. But that's the biggest difference, I think, that what we bring to the party. And you know, the kit's good. You look at the core entry; it's a fully polymer gun. Even the buffer tube's polymer, but the rails are metal. They're machined. The outer barrel's metal. The tight bore is a tight bore barrel, and it's a quick change spring system. Yeah. Now I remember getting a combat machine 8-10 years ago, and I thought it was a bee's knees. But if you got a little bit excited with it, there's a little bit of flex going on. If you got a bit excited with it, you know, if you're chasing the 14-year-old hire who's just rinsed you through the woods, you know, and it's getting, because you're getting a bit excited, it starts to flex a bit. So it's one of them that you see. That's fantastic. That you can obviously see the picture there now, and you've got to also look at the difference in the range. You know, and they could be, you know, Rock River Arms trades as well. Now, where do you get an entry-level gun with that spec that comes in the region of between 120 and 140 quid? Well, if somebody can answer that, then let's hear it, because I ain't seen anything yet. I'll be honest with you. What about you, Jim? What do you think?
Well, as someone who's still yet to get my hands on one and actually have a proper physical play, I'm yet to reserve judgment on it. But it's like I've spoken to customers about it, and or some that have already got them, and they rave about them. They think they're like you say, the best thing since bread came sliced. And you know, it's nice to sometimes see people taking a side with it. You know, we sort of joked about it off air about, you know, there'll always be those people that are like, well, I'm a Man United fan and I'm a Liverpool fan, and therefore they will hate each other till the end of time, but they'll enjoy doing it because they're behind the brands that they like. You know, I think the other good one is, you know, the amount of people that argue about Apple phones versus every other phone that's out there. So it's there
are other phones out there.
Yeah, Graham.
Look, I've already got enough memes made of me and hating enough on the internet. I don't go down that rabbit hole.
No,
of course, the iPhone's the only good one.
Jim, we'll have a chat about that later, yeah? We'll have a chat about that. And I don't mean the phones, please. I deal with phones every day of my life. They are the bane. But no, we want people out there to share this experience with us, yeah? And we want people to grow with us. Our roadmap for next year is astonishing. You know, again, with everybody, it's been no secret that the AKs will be out soon. We have a couple of 416s as well that are just about to re-emerge again. We've had a what we call a H range for a while now, but these will be, obviously we can't call them cock, because we'll get really done, won't we? Because there'll be the trades police out there. But you know, we're only the same as everybody else. You know, there's only one firm can do that, and we all knew that is. But then if we move on to the edge range, again, I always ask people the question: who out there is supplying an M4 with a choice of 2 different gate MOSFETs out of the box? You've got 3 different gate MOSFETs. We've got XASR, we have the Titan, and then we've also got the and I've gone completely blank because I've got full of a cold. We got the Astor as well. Wow, that was really close, wasn't it? Yeah. Did you see that arrow coming flying towards me there? It nearly went straight in through my neck. Because I've got security behind me. Anyway, but you know, one of the firm out there offers you them options on an M4. Now, what I always thought when I first received one of the Edge rifles, my first thought was, when I tried it, there's a gap in the market. You've got entry-level kit that isn't always just polymer. You can get metal entry-level kit that's, I'd say, going up to about the 160 quid mark. Yeah. Then you've got the higher-end kit, not just the GT Advanced stuff from G&G or the Top Tech stuff or the TM stuff or E&L or people like that. I always thought there was just that little gap in between those two for an intermediate bit of kit that had a decent trigger, that had a decent gearbox, had a decent barrel spec, was full metal, and was affordable. And that's exactly where the edge range sits. They are full metal. The top receiver and the lower receiver fit together, which some of the kit I've seen just recently, I don't know how they've got out of the factory. Honestly, I've seen it. Where they don't even actually line up. Yeah, you know, and I just thought, well, the weight's there. But then you come to the internals, you've got a fully upgraded gearbox. You've got a spare spring that comes in the box. You get 2 really good mid-cap magazines, 120 round. Yeah, you get a bit of marketing bump in there as well. It's got a tight ball barrel and a quick change spring. And you're talking around the 200 quid mark. Now, again, who's supplying kit with them kind of spec at that kind of money?
But that's it. I mean, is definitely an area that I do think is missed out upon for sure. And there are definitely, I can think of how many of the rifles kind of have that polymer version and then the metal version after, but it's the missing of things like the MOSFETs and stuff, and kind of the upgrades as such, which people would then go out and fish for afterwards.
That's it. And everybody loves an upgrade, don't they? You know, and in the discussion, I read some of these forums and I look on them and I've just bought this rifle. What's the best upgrades? And my first thought is, why is it broke? Is it broken already? What do you need to upgrade it for? Get it out of the box, put a battery in it, fill up the mag, and go and have a load of fun with it. Because that's what we're all supposed to be doing. Yeah? But if you bring out a rifle that's already got them upgrades, and we've had these discussions, don't we? Get me wrong.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and we've had discussion with the development team with Specna, and they want to put this in. Now, one of the ranges of Specna, they'll be coming out with 1 or 2 upgrade parts that people would automatically put in. I'm not going to say what they are. It's pretty obvious, I think, but they're going to already be in the gun. But I said to them when they first brought that up, I said, well, you know, they'll still want to change it. They'll still think, hang on. Yeah, I'll still change that. What you would change it for the same thing, you know? And that's where the roadmap's going, because what the guys who are developing this kit want is people to literally take it out of the box, charge up the battery. Not necessarily the Edge series doesn't come with a battery, but the core do. They want to charge a battery up, fill up a mag, and start going out. Because while people are playing with them, people are seeing them, people are going to want them. It's a simple. I remember when the Tokyo Marui recoils first came out. I think the Scar was the first one they brought out, and I saw one at a first and only game, and I just thought, I've got to have one of them. I've just got to have one. They are just so cool. End of the day, I just saw the guy sat there looking all forlorn on the back of his car because it broke. And then I didn't want one, you know. Exactly. And obviously he's piled the same amount in money wise as he paid for the gun in upgrades. But then I discovered gas, and that was it. Yeah, it was game over for ages then. It worked because I love gas guns. But I just think that if you haven't had an Edge, go out and look. We had 1 or 2 problems with the bearings in 1 or 2 gearboxes. That's been rectified. But we can only get that feedback if people tell us.
No, absolutely. Well, I think it's fair to say, being a brand ambassador, one of those key parts is to know your products. And I think over the last 5 minutes, what we figured out is there's a difference between some brand ambassadors who do know their products and some who don't.
Yeah.
And that's some of the questions that have been coming in through the chat there. And it's great, guys. Please feel free to add your own comments there and ask your questions as you go along there. No problem, yeah. But as a brand ambassador, how important is it to know the product line or all the products, or do you feel that there's certain areas where you should know more about? Because we definitely have seen brand ambassadors maybe under other names where maybe that's not their strong suit.
I personally think it's key critical. I do. And again, we've had these discussions where if you're going to market something, Graham, or if I went to Jim, I said, Jim, I've got this fantastic new M4 here. What do you think? And he said, well, what spec is it? Well, what do you mean? Well, what's it got inside it? Well, I haven't a clue. All right, okay. So you want to look at these products, but you have no idea what the product's about. Well, not really. No, I've just been asked to bring it here. Well, if I reverse those roles, I would just simply just turn around and say, well, I'll be honest with you. If you don't know anything about it, then I'm not particularly interested. The brand ambassadors are getting better. They are learning the products more, which is what they should be doing anyway. You know, I think the biggest role of a brand ambassador is to market. But because I have a slightly different role in the fact that I'm also responsible for sales, it's difficult to say. It's difficult to say. I know what they should be doing, but ultimately I don't control them. You know, but it's the guys at Specna Arms that control them. Control's a strong word, I guess, who guide them on what they should be doing. But for me, a brand ambassador should be out there. He should know his products. If somebody comes up to him and asks, what's the spec on this product, they should know. It's as simple as that. That's my opinion. I might get shot tomorrow morning for that, but that's my opinion. You know me, Graham. I'm never, backwards and coming forwards. I will say it as it is. But for me, what do you think, guys? Do you think a brand ambassador should know more?
Well, if you're a brand ambassador, I think you should be able to talk the inside and outside duck's arsehole on it, and almost to the point of where it's like, you're boring me to tears now. But, I mean,
I don't want to hear any more about it.
I wonder why you're crying, Jim.
It's fine. It's done. No. I mean, the question I've got for you, Angelo, is like, so for you, where does that start? Where does the want to be the brand ambassador? Was it the brand, or was it the products, or I mean, you said about where you're going, but where do you begin with that? Where do you get on the Specna Arms train? For you at least, anyway.
Well, it was again. I'm going to be controversial here, but I don't care. I've been speaking to the European distributors for Specna for some months, and they basically asked me to review some products for them when I was writing for Airsoft Action. And they said they had numerous rifles they wanted to send me. Now, as obviously Graham knows me a lot better, I have sent so many products back to manufacturers and refused to review them because they've been utter garbage. Yeah, I'm not frightened of telling them that, because what I don't want, and I've always said this, is players in the UK wasting their hard-earned money on products that are crap. I don't care who you are. If you've been paid God knows how much money, if you say a product's good and you bring it to this country and it's crap, you have lost all your integrity with me. It's as simple as that. So I was asked to review these products just before they were actually being sent, the products, when I was at Airsoft Action. Politics got in the way at Airsoft Action, where I was basically asked not to review the kit because somebody else was already dealing with them. When I questioned this, there was a bit of a furrowed brow, as if to say, well, I don't know, you mean who we're already dealing with? So I just kind of said, well, we'll just leave that then. I was then approached again by two employees of Gunfire. I'm going to not mention any names at the moment. They discussed about how they could help with marketing in the UK. And we discussed, I said, well, they looked at the ICS captain side of things and said, how well do they work in the UK? And I said, well, to be honest, I think with the ICS captain thing, you suddenly hear that they're an ICS captain and then you don't hear about them again. You might see them pop up here, there and everywhere, but very, very rare. I said, what you've got to do is, like, I've been in sales for a long time, and it's an old adage, if you throw enough proverbial at the wall, some of it sticks. Yeah. But you've got to keep throwing it. So I talked about this. We then had a meeting. Two gentlemen from Gunfire flew over, and we had a sit down for a couple of days and had a chat on where it would go. And I was asked if I would like to take part in a part-time role to start with. And I actually at first said I needed to think about it because I wanted to try the kit first. Because again, it's all about the kit. It's not about the personality or the person behind it. It's about whether it works or not. It's as simple as that. And whether it's good and reliable. Tried the kit, fell in love with it. They sent me an E12 PDW, which is just outstanding. I've used it 2 or 3 times on games, and it's a monster. Yeah, you know, the Oakham downgraded in the UK, so I advise everybody to put the M90 spring in straight away. Gives me 335, 340, which shows it's got a fantastic air seal with that kind of spring. And that's how it started for me. If anybody's looking at taking up that kind of role, then, you know, go for it. I'll leave my email at the end of the show, my Specna Arms email. If you're interested in doing something like that, then give me an email. Let me see what I can do. I can't promise anything, you know, but that's all I can do, isn't it? It's all I can offer. You know, I ain't the big cheese here by any stretch. Trust me. I hope that answers your question, Jim. That was a shortened version, by the way.
We'll all buy the unabridged audiobook. So, I mean, you sort of putting the invite out there to future ambassadors for that brand, and maybe for every brand that's out there, anyone that's interested in being a brand ambassador. You know, what is the difference between, to you, a sponsored player, which there seems to be many of? You see it on everyone's little Instagram bios, is sponsored by ...
Get 3% off my next order.
Yeah. 5, Graham. 5.
I clearly more than me.
This is Airsoft Nation. We don't go above 3. But yeah. So sponsored players versus brand ambassadors. You know, I mean, are they the same thing? You know.
No, they're not. I don't think there is obviously some comparison because of marketing products. The difference with a sponsored player is he can be sponsored by numerous different people. He may be sponsored by, you know, he could be sponsored by Combat UK for his kit. He could be sponsored by Viper for his boots and also his rig. His rifle could be ICS. It could be G&G. It could be Specna Arms. Yeah, sponsored players are usually sponsored by numerous different brands, not just one. With a brand ambassador for Specna Arms, you are responsible for that one sole brand. And Specna Arms, I think that's the easiest way to answer that, Jim. Yes, there's a doubt. When it comes to what I find with sponsored players, there's usually quite a lot of loyalty hopping.
Yes.
Again, me and Graham discussed this earlier over the weekend, where there'll be fantastic, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Then the following week, it's a different thing. Now, the problem you've got with that is if I came to you, Jim, and said, I'll tell you what, these Specna Arms rifles are the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. And then in 2 months' time, I give you a call. Jim, can I come and see you? Yeah. Oh, by the way, have you seen this ICS rifle? These are the best things since sliced bread. My integrity is gone. Completely.
Yeah, I don't like ICS anyway. It's.
Well, there's my captaincy application down the pan.
Yeah, that's great. You shredded his application.
You can ask me off air what I think ICS stands for. Never been a fan.
I've had a few messages this week from another organisation who've suddenly decided that they are building up a team of brand ambassadors. Yeah. Now, it's something I've absolutely knocked back straight away and said, no, I'm not interested at all. I'm a very loyal person. There's a lot of brand loyalty here because, you know, we haven't got it right yet. You know, I think we're 98% there. I still think we've got work to do. Now, I'm not the type of person that jumps ship on anything at all. Yeah, I would have to be pushed, literally, you know, to a point where I just can't carry on. And these people are now, and it's astonishing, really, because I actually thought the name brand ambassador at first, I thought it sounded a bit too grand. You know, it sounded better than brand pleb, which was my idea, which they kind of frowned upon, you know, but it's this other firm have now decided they are putting together a team of brand ambassadors. I don't need to say the name. It's been all over Facebook for the last week. And they're recruiting a few people. Our guys are really tight. All the guys from Portugal, the guys from France, from Holland, from Cuba, from Yugoslavia. They're a really solid bunch. And obviously one from Poland too. And yeah, you can imagine we do have a group and we do have a chat. And that chat has been nothing but about that for the last week because every one of them has been approached. So they know who they are. If you're listening, I'm not interested.
I would say, while you say that, and this isn't to throw shade either way, but I mean, even some of your players were previously representing other brands. What would you say kind of makes you change that allegiance, and or not necessarily allegiance, but in terms of what brand it is? Because there is obviously a perk as being a brand ambassador, right? And I think that transparency is something that a lot of people would like to see. And that's not to say that none of you guys have, but aren't. But there are definitely some sales, what did you say, brand ambassadors or sponsor players who definitely aren't so transparent about that.
Well, I don't get why they don't be transparent, because everybody else can see it, you know. It's like hiding behind a piece of glass. You know, it's just crazy. Everybody else can see it. So why don't you just say so? If you're getting this, and that, then just say so. I don't understand what the problem is, you know. Pretty much, I have that much Specna Arms kit, I have to have a lockup. Yeah. Because it took over my house. Yeah. But then I do go around the UK with a booth and all the racking and the flags that are just the bane that just keep wanting to leave Earth every time we get them out of the box. Yeah. But because we were supposed to be at Section 8 this weekend, just gone. But it was Neil that contacted me and said, Angelo, he said, the weather's not going to be too great up here this weekend. You may end up like Mary Poppins with the booth flying across, you know, Western Scotland with his booth. But no, I just think that the brand loyalty thing is a big thing. It's a big thing. And if anybody gives us any flack about it, you know something, Graham, you know, we both know what it's about. That's jealousy. They genuinely think you've got a truck full of kit out the front. Yeah. I've got a lockup full of kit because I display it in a booth.
Yeah.
When I go and visit, you know, the other brand ambassadors haven't got that amount of kit. They maybe have 2 rifles each. Yeah. But because I'm actually doing a slightly different role, I've got to have the kit. And none of it's mine. Don't get me wrong. The E12 PDW, not the Aster, I might add. The one with the XASR MOSFET is mine. You know, and they've sent me that. They said I can keep that. I'm not bothered about saying that to anybody. You know, but I work hard. You know, I do a lot of work. It's, you know, Richard Stevenson, who I'm sure is listening. I just want to put a big shout out to him, if you don't mind, Graham, because
go for it.
Rich is probably the single most loyal person I've ever met in my life. He's there every single time I need help with something. Or anything like that. He gives up a lot of his spare time also because I haven't got my wife's got a car at the moment, but I haven't. Taking me and the kit to these various venues, and I just wanted to give him a big shout out because he's a diamond of a guy, and I just think he deserves that credit massively. But that's what we do. We go and set the booth up. People come along, they have a look. Some of them are actually quite shocked when they can take them off the rack. They go, oh. You mean I can hold this? Well, you can go and play with it if you like. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, and the sniper rifle that we've got as well, the entry-level sniper rifle, that's been unbelievably popular. You know, it comes at about $430 out the box, and we do a bundle with the scope and the Harris-style bipod, full metal out of barrel. Don't get me wrong, it's an M40 style, and it's an outstanding piece of kit. And that has been so popular. So many people having a go with that, and it's lifting 0.4s out of the box, no problem at all. And you know, you see so many people. I'd like to have a go at sniping, okay, and then they go and buy a VSR, which don't get me wrong, they're fantastic, but then they pile 200-300 quid into it in upgrades. Second game, they think this is boring. I don't want to do this anymore. But why don't you just get the Specna Arms and you can go out and try that? You've spent 140 quid, you know, for the lot. You know, so that's where we are with that. I'm sorry if I went on a bit there, but I'm just giddy.
You lost me at sniper rifle.
Yeah. I had to pin myself against the table to stop myself from nodding off. But
I'm hooked in.
No, so I buy 140 quid on that, and then you buy a ghillie suit, and then you buy a GoPro.
Yeah.
You spend all your time making memes.
Oh, there we go.
Go fuck yourself.
I mean, you mentioned about jealousy earlier, and talking the fact you are now representing a brand. I mean, previously you were a writer where you'd write about many brands and many products, and all variations of products now. When someone talks about Specna Arms, and maybe they've had a bad experience, maybe they just aren't interested, does it feel more like a personal attack when haters will say come out against the brand? Is it something that, how do you take that as a brand ambassador?
If it's a genuine gripe and it's a genuine issue, then it needs to be dealt with, and I will deal with it. It's as simple as that. If it's just somebody that's looking to make a name for himself on Facebook, of which there are thousands, we see them every day.
No, people don't do that. That's very cynical.
If they want to do that,
I've never seen that once.
I never normally see. It's usually behind my back. But anyway, did I just say that out loud? Sorry about that. It's just one of them that if it's not, and you're just looking to make a name for yourself, do yourself a favour, go and get a girlfriend. Yeah, and stop sitting on Facebook every night looking for somebody to have a pop at. Yeah, and what I'm saying by that is not just have a pop at me. I'm not telling you to go and have a pop at somebody else. Stop having a pop at anyone. Yeah, because unless you've been there, yeah, absolutely. But
I'm a fragile soul. That's what people don't realise.
Unless you've walked a mile in the man's shoes, then you can't. How can you be critical of somebody you don't know? And don't get me wrong, I've done it myself. I've listened to other people in the past's opinions on certain people, and I've forged my own opinion, and which is wrong, and it's completely wrong. I never used to be like that, but I've reverted back to how I used to be. I will judge people on how I see them, yeah, and how I feel about them and their reactions to others. Yeah, I have to be careful. I have to be really careful when people are commenting. Sometimes I have to ignore it. But I certainly can't come back with anything that's nasty or horrible, but I wouldn't anyway. But boy, there's times when I just have to click close.
Don't we all?
I'm just going to close this phone down here. Sorry about this.
No worries. I'll mute you right now. He's back.
It's online. Look, I've got here, look. Kevin Durant, and I've got him on the phone. Hiya, Kevin, you all right? I'm just on Airsoft Nation live, pal. Do you want to say hello to the nation? Look at him. Sorry about that, Kev. I'll ring you back shortly, pal. Yeah. Yeah. It's live on Airsoft Nation. I've got to go. I'll ring you back. Graham, he's telling me not to hang up on him. What do I do?
It's like, hi, Mum, I'm here.
Yeah. Can you not hear it all?
We're mute here while he's carrying a conversation there. Jim, brand ambassadors, sponsors, players, what's your opinion on it? And Angelo's back now. As someone who's been in the retail world for a while now, I'm sure you get plenty of emails saying sponsor me and my team.
Yeah.
Probably less on the brand ambassador front, but what's your opinion in terms of the value that they bring to the company, to the brand, to the retailer, obviously from your point of view there?
Yeah. So we've always flat out just said no to people when it comes to sponsoring them, because it always feels like a bit of a slippery slope. You've got the horrible bit that people won't like anyone mentioning, because obviously everything in Airsoft needs to be completely fair and everyone should be given everything and no one should have to work for it. But for us to give a load of kit for free would require a substantial return on that investment.
Absolutely.
And I don't personally think that there are many people that can guarantee that, that can show you the metrics of saying this person will guarantee that you are going to get X amount of sales in return. Not compared to people that are passionate about a product and that will go and just fly that flag for as long as it takes, as often as it takes to make it happen. Because I think there's so many people that lose, people that just lose wind out of it. I went to one site, I gave it everything I've got, but no one was interested. No one wanted to talk to me. And it's like, and you're giving up now? I always think that's the sort of, if people knew what it, I'm not sort of saying this because Angelo's here either, but it's just like from within what I do as a brand, you know, the shop is a brand, and you know, it's a brand I'm very passionate about. It's a brand that I want to make work and make bigger. And going back to the haters thing, you know, it's a kick in the balls when someone turns around and says they don't like what you do. You know, I'm sure you're the same with people that have criticised Airsoft Nation. It's just like, it's something you put your heart and soul to, and you see the potential in it, and you just want it to become the thing that you feel it should be. But the reality is, it takes money to do it, and it takes support to do it, and it's what are the best ways to do it. And sometimes you act with the best of intentions, and you let people down. You know, you can end up sort of, you know, accidentally making enemies of people because it's not there. You know, you try and do something innovative and you forget that the quality needs to be there. You know, that can be a pitfall. Vice versa, you know, you could have great quality and be one of those brands that stands the test of time. You know, I always look at Ford as that brand. It's like, you know, they make solid bits of kit, but they're boring as fuck, you know.
Safe. They're safe, aren't they? Yeah, that's it.
No one ever got an erection at a Volvo. You know? At least I hope not anyway, because kind of
there's always someone out there. but I think this is what interests me, how you know, sponsored players or players that especially sponsored by a retailer, the return on investment is a lot harder to justify. Whereas where we're seeing brands actually say, you know what, we're investing in our brand by bringing brand ambassadors on board, where it's not necessarily, you know, watch my video or like my Instagram post, but it's actually about seeing players on the field with stands, saying, look, here's our kit, here's our brand. And I mean, technically that's almost like sales reppy, but in terms of actually getting the product out on site and saying, here it is. It's not me you're looking at to invest in. It's the product. Have a look at it. Whereas I see, you know, I think New Pro are a good example here as to how much they've grown, and arguably since Trent, the Red Van Man, I'll shout him out now, went up and down the country and was at all these events and all these stands, and it showed people more about the product. And I'd argue that's why, you know, the ICS captain, for example, the ICS captains, the guys are great, but they definitely don't have that same presence on sites. They tend to go to home sites or within a smaller catchment area. Whereas someone who's paid by the brand to go around can definitely kind of get a bigger catchment and definitely make a bigger impact.
Well, I always think that motive's the key for it. And I don't know if Angelo would agree, but it's like, you know, if your motive is to do the best for the brand, then you're going to, doesn't matter if you're being paid to or not, you're going to put your heart and soul to it. You're going to be the one that's up at 3 o'clock in the morning answering posts about what the quality of a product is and whether or not it meets this or that or whatever it is. And, you know, even if you were getting paid for it, you're never going to get paid what you think you should for it, I don't think. You know, it's just like you're always going to work harder than what the wages are.
No, I totally agree with that. I think it's difficult for a retailer because a retailer doesn't deal with one brand. And for somebody to approach a retailer and say, come on, sponsor me, give me this. What they've got to remember is that is coming out of the till. It's as simple as that. It's not coming from, now if they, say for instance, somebody came to you, Jim, and said, okay, I want you to sponsor. Don't get me wrong, Team Rhino have been, you know, they've been endorsed by Outdoor and Tactical with Jeff's Draft Club and ICS to a point for many years. Yeah. But these are people, these are the manufacturing side. It's not the retail. Yeah. All we got from Outdoor and Tactical were the Jeff BBs that were magnificent. And they've supported us for many, many years. Yeah. But with a retailer, what some people, they seem to think, that you've probably got solid gold shoes on. You've just driven to, you know, you're in your house that's worth 18 million. You've got solid gold guns all over your house. What they seem to forget is that having an airsoft shop is just like running any other business. Yeah. Everything that goes out comes off the bottom line. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Like Jim said, if there's no return on investment, then it's a really bad investment. And really bad investments are very easy to make. They're the easiest mistake any business owner can do. And that is a piss poor investment. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. There could be big names out there. Yeah. Who say, yeah, I can do this for your product. But then the main brands will swallow them up. The actual manufacturers will swallow them up, leaving the retailer to foot the bill for the smaller guy. But Jim's obviously had a lot of approach, excuse me, from people who want to look at sponsorship, but they don't want to start small. How many people, Jim, I asked you this question, how many people have come to you, Jim, and said to you, I'll tell you what, have you got any patches or things like that? The next game I go to, I'll check a load of your patches and I'll just give them out to people. I don't want any money for it. I don't even want to patch myself. I bet that's never happened, does it?
Before you answer this, I will say now, if anyone's in the surrounding area of platoon stores, do not take this as an offer.
We've run out of patches.
I can hear 20 people saying, can I have patches?
I don't know if it answers the question, but I mean, one of the things that I learned, I had a retail background before I came to platoon stores, which has been nearly sort of 10 years in the going for me anyway. And the very first person I ever gave a patch to, that I felt like it was one of those things where I could give a patch out to someone and this was going to be a good thing. Then put it slap bang next to a competitor's patch on a rig. And it just taught me very, very quickly that, you can't trust anyone.
I'm sorry, Jim. I'm sorry.
And you just look at it, all you can do is laugh. But I mean, I've been at sites, and I'm not going to say who, but I've literally seen a site owner go up to a player and rip the patch off of another site. Because it's just like, no, you're not going to promote somebody else's product where I'm trying to make my living out of it. You are literally trying to steal food off my plate is the sort of the, and
okay. No, go on. Sorry, Jim. Go.
I was just going to say, and I totally get it, and it is one of those things where everyone will probably turn around and go, that site owner was bang out of order for doing it, but it's just like, as Angelo said, walk a few miles in that other person's shoes and then go, right, now you've got to pay for all the insurance, you've got to pay for all the marshals to be there, you've got to pay for all the bits and pieces to make this happen, just for someone to come out and tell you, don't play at this site, you need to play at this other site that I play at more often, and I'm only really here to promote another site. And sometimes people do it completely innocently at the same time. It's not saying everyone does it and everyone's evil, but it's a very, very fine line to flirt between.
So I was going to ask that
comment. Then that was a melting comment.
I was going to ask about that. Now that you're obviously a brand ambassador, how does it kind of compare between being that brand ambassador now, which is more of a structured code of conduct, maybe more of a way that you should behave versus the way you may want to behave with certain people. And obviously it's now more of a recognized platform in terms of where does the brand stop, let's say, and you kind of begin as a brand ambassador?
That's a really difficult question. Thanks for that. It's difficult in a way because now I have to behave. I have to behave in a manner that is much more professional, like I do in my 9-to-5 job. I have to behave that way with one single brand. I've never been in a situation before where I've been asked to see the questions beforehand. Yeah, you know about that, Graham, don't you? Where I've had to actually find out what I'm being asked before, because you're not just talking to me now, are you? You're talking to the brand. So the brand want to make sure that in effect I'm its mouthpiece, as big as it may be, for the brand. And I've got to leave my personal feelings at home. But I do like to think that I've brought my own personality to it. I get, people speak to me now who never spoke to me before, which I quite like, to a point. But I just think it's good for the brand that I bring my personality on board. I certainly think that 100%, because I like to think I'm quite an infectious personality. I'm very, very good to people who are good to me. And I'm very good about the brand, but I'm passionate about the brand too, you see. If the brand would have been rubbish, we wouldn't have been having this conversation now. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just reading the comments there. There's a lot of statements coming in left, right, and centre.
I hope they're all really bad.
No. There's people having their own conversations inside here in terms of what counts as representing the brand and what would you do if you had a bad product. So I'll throw that one to you here. I'll throw it to you here in terms of if, and we won't say they have, but if Specna had a bad product and you thought it was a bad product, how do you go around that? Is that something that you still push? And I know I've seen from other companies where they've told their reps to continue to push the product, even though the people actually didn't want to.
It wouldn't get to that, Graham. It genuinely wouldn't get to that, because when you mean a bad product, you mean a product that isn't going to be very popular, or a product that's renowned for being faulty.
It doesn't live up to what it's saying on the tin.
Okay. It just wouldn't happen, because for the simple reason being is that I'm involved a lot right from the start. The conversations I have till the early hours of the morning with the development team at Specna on what products will work. Not just me, but all the other ambassadors too. They will all join in and say, they'll say, we'll try this product. No, that's just not going to work. Or that wouldn't work in Yugoslavia, or that wouldn't work in Portugal. And it's just, we have to get to a point where we're all agreeing that a product will sell, it will be popular, but then some products are more popular in other countries than they are here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's a bit of a dilemma for Specna, that they've got to kind of keep everybody happy. But the quality control that the kit goes through from the factory, there's a 2-point quality control there, as in it goes through one set of quality control, then a final set of quality control. When they are then brought over to Gunfire for distribution, they are checked twice again before they're even dispatched. Listen, things get missed. There are products out there that are faulty, but find a manufacturer where they aren't.
There's always QC, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
The more you make, the more chance there is of
absolutely
one through the net, or
but it's if there's a bad product, or they suggest a product, and believe me, 1 or 2 have been mentioned, but it just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. Simple as that.
See, I couldn't be a brand ambassador, because I know that at some point someone would turn around and go, "We're doing a P90," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm out. We're done. I'm out."
Believe it or not, there was something actually slightly worse than that. But anyway, I will keep that to myself. But all I can say is the guys at Specna are very, very good at taking feedback. Miguel's been brilliant in Portugal. He gives a lot of feedback to them, and we're not dealing with the guys here who have to then go through 2 steps of management to get it to the top to get approval. We're dealing with the guys who give the approval at the top. These are the guys that write the checks, and say whether a product gets manufactured or not. So there's nothing in Chinese whisper that, yes, that would be fantastic to build that, and then a P90 comes out. There's no Chinese whisper involved. There's no buffers or anything like that. It's yeah. Thanks, Lewis. I totally agree. But and I know that Matt Beddoes personally, he's a huge P90 fan. I know he has a collection of them, and I know he has a solid gold one as well that he uses when he's LARPing. As the drug lord. But there you go. Sorry, that's the answer to
that. I'm going to get hate on that one there.
No.
So when it comes to being the brand ambassador for Specna Arms, what would you say is more important to you? Would you say it's the innovation or quality when it comes to products?
Again, a good question. I think the innovation's always got to keep going. You've always got to keep innovating, but innovating in the right direction is a big thing, and that's the key. You've got to keep innovating in the right way, but without letting the quality slip. Because once you've got quality up to a mark. You see, it's funny this way because I can't see hardly any of the comments.
No, it's a good thing.
I just keep seeing these big smirks on Graham's face.
I think
I'll keep it under control now, I promise. Yeah, you've got to keep innovating or else you get left behind. Yeah, but you haven't to let the quality slip. That's key. That's absolutely key. If you let the quality slip, what's the point in innovating in the first place?
And talking about innovation, something that was recently announced from Specna is, of course, the AK models coming out.
Yeah.
How much can you say about that?
Well, I can say a little bit. There's going to be numerous. I can't say what models are at the moment, but there's been enough out there on Facebook. It actually got let slip by, I think it was WSMAG in Poland that let it go. And they're not far off. They'll be first quarter next year. There's going to be a minimum of 3 to 4 different models. 3 to 4 different. There's going to be tactical versions and traditional versions. There will be some versions with Aston MOSFETs in a standard. They're going to be solid. I myself, we haven't got any ourselves yet, but I'm hoping to receive mine hopefully in January, before the end of January. So I'll be getting out and about all the sites and showing people. I've seen obviously a lot more marketing material than obviously has been released on social media. Yeah. And all I can say is if you're in the market for an AK, just wait for a little while, because things are going to be a bit special. They're going to be very, very good.
Well, as someone who likes AKs, I'm interested, because I'm definitely due a replacement at this point. So that's definitely interesting, and it's good to see. A question here.
To talk to your people. Yeah.
Yeah, if it works that way. A question I just had from this is, obviously you've got the products you have now, and obviously you're aware of some of the product lineup that's happening there. We've had 2 questions come in. One, are pistols coming? And I don't know if you can or can't say, or can just smile at the camera to say yes or no on that one.
There was a hint earlier, wasn't there?
You can't get much past Jim. Possibly.
You can get normally a lot past me.
And
possibly is the answer to that.
The second question, what model would you personally like to see from Specna? What's something that you would like to see?
I genuinely would like to see something like an RPK or a PKM, that type of thing. I just love that style of kit. I think it doesn't get the credit it's worth. There are some out there. I've tried some. I don't get me wrong; they've been very good. Really good kit. But I am an MP5 man through and through. I would love it if we did an MP5. I think ICS for me. I've had 2 ICS MP5s in the past, and they've been fantastic. They've been bulletproof. Sorry, Jim. But they've been very good. The one with the SEF lower has been very, very good. I'd love us to make an MP5. We're not too interested in the recoil side of things. I think there's companies out there doing that now. Do I rate them? No, not really, because I prefer gas. If you want a good thump in your shoulder, you buy a gas gun. But again, it's about people's preference. But if I had to have it, it would be MP5, 100%.
Oh, very cool. And I think, me and you, Jim, we've spoken quite a lot in the past about MP5s, and this definitely would be good to see a little bit of research from them, because there's not been a lot more recently, for sure. And I know everyone's been asking about the Tokyo Recoil MP5s. Is that ever hopeful on that front? But no, I think, it's more love to the MP5, especially with the fact we are seeing a lot more 9mm conversion.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
We need more balaclavas.
Yes.
There's just not enough balaclavas in Airsoft anymore. I'm fed up of seeing people's faces.
Angelo was definitely one of those people who repped the...
Graham.
Yeah, exactly. The SAS loadout with the balaclava. You did that for quite a while, didn't you?
Yeah. Still got it all. Yeah, all the kit.
Very cool.
I like it.
Before we finish up, as the time is coming to a close here, I'd like to round up, as we do with all guests, the lightning round here. So I'm going to throw some very quick questions at you, and love to hear your answer so we can compare against other guests. So first of all, your favourite weapon of choice. And it can be Specna, it doesn't have to be. But I suppose as the brand ambassador here.
I'm going to be really political here, which is pathetic. Definitely E12 from Specna or an MP5.
Okay. In terms of play style, can you do, or would you prefer Milsim, Speedsoft, or Skirmishing?
Yeah, Milsim's all the way. We always like to play the bad guys at Rhino.
And talking Rhino, your favourite site or event that you've been to?
Oh, it's got to be Gangster City. Absolutely unbelievable event over the last 3 years. We go next time we're at Longmore Camp in March, and it is just an outstanding event. Them boys just absolutely got it.
What is Gangster City? As someone who's not been to them.
Gangster City has been a series of games run by Phil at JD and was the West Midlands Airsoft guys there, and it's he's literally, as it says it on the tin, it's different warring factions, different gangs like the Bloods and the Crips, fighting over money, drugs, diamonds, in an unbelievably. We've done it at Swinnerton the last 3 times, and it's the most immersive game we've ever played. The lads from Stirling have been coming along, Matt and his lads, who have really upped the ante with it as well. This is cool. Just 36 hours of mayhem. And the last game we played it, we had to defend the fob that I bought with a lot of stolen money for an hour against all the other factions. And I've never been I've never seen as many BBs flying in my entire life. But it was a crescendo. But they know what they're doing. They've always built it up to a crescendo at the end. Graham, you must come along, guys. Honestly.
Link is in the comments if you're interested right now. I've just posted a link to that both on Facebook and YouTube, so it's really cool. Okay, if you could change now, we're kind of turning it up a bit here. If you could change one thing in Airsoft, whether it's the game, the community, or the industry, what would it be?
Attitude. 100%. People's attitude towards others. It stinks. You know, whether it's during a game, whether it's going into a retailer, whether it's the way people speak to each other on Facebook, just drop the attitude and just speak to people like they're human beings, you know. You know, just because somebody owns a shop doesn't mean you can talk to them like they're a piece of dirt, or vice versa. It doesn't mean that shops can speak to people like that way. Just think about each other and think about what you're saying before you speak to somebody. Yeah, because it's sorry, my cat Zeus has just joined me.
I suppose the sound of the entire internet wincing at once.
No, if I could change anything.
Very cool answer there. And then finally, your turn now. Who do you think we should bring on as a guest to Airsoft Radio?
Oh, I've been thinking about this for the last 10 minutes, and I think you should bring Ian Maxwell on from Anarchy Airsoft, and I'll tell you for why. Ian's been around in this game for a long, long time. He's a really good guy. He's a really kind guy, and him and Shane Foote up at Anarchy Airsoft are doing great things up there. He's very knowledgeable, and he's very straight to the point. Yeah, and he probably knows more about Airsoft than anybody I've ever met. So I think he would be a great guest. Sorry, Ian. Tough,
well, you've been called up, Ian. So, and that's what's really cool is the last 2 guests now have both actually said a site owner, which is really cool because I think sometimes site owners do definitely get ignored across the board. And I know we have seen some site owners in the past mention how they definitely don't get the same amount of not necessarily attention, but the same amount of interest from players in terms of us finding out their opinion on situations. So, Ian, expect a message sometime soon, definitely for the new year, for sure. And finally, Angelo, it's been fantastic to have you on. Thank you so much. But where can players find out more about you, about Specna? Where can they get in touch if they've got any questions?
Well, they can send me an email at angelo.divito@specnaarms.com. Or they can send me a private message. I always answer people's messages. I always speak to people. Look, sorry, he's just photobombing it now, isn't he? You know what I mean? This is my cat Zeus. Look at him. He's just an absolutely ginormous Bengal cat, yeah. Angelo.Di Vito at SpecnaArms.com. If you want to contact me that way, or send me a friend request, send me a message on Facebook. I always reply to messages. I never ignore anybody.
Well, you're a better man than I am.
I am, I guess. Isn't it?
I'm going to ignore Gary Plummer and his little comment about my weight.
Well, that is it once again for another week. Jim, any final remarks on this show?
Probably none that should air.
Come collect your patches.
I mean, the only thing I will quickly say is that over the last week, and Graham and I have talked about this, and it sort of alludes to what Angelo has said about people's attitudes, is that I've had a lot of like really fucking hateful messages over the last week since our last show, because there's a lot of shit staring going on out there. And it's been quite upsetting to the point where I was actually going to say that tonight was going to be my last show, walk away from this and give Kicking Mustang exactly what he wanted. But I'm not going to do that because I'm an arsehole and I enjoy doing it.
No, don't do that, Jim. Definitely not.
Yeah, and I just wish people would be way more tolerant and realise that this is a discussion show, and that sometimes we're going to say things that people disagree with, and it's fine to disagree with it. You are perfectly entitled to have your own opinion, and no one's saying otherwise, even if it is a joke where someone turns around and thinks that your P90 is a pile of dog shit. But
it's true.
And because it is true, yeah, it's fact. But yeah, it's been a week where I've kind of thought, do you know what? Fuck Airsoft. You know, if it can't grow up, you know, and it can't, you know, if we can't all get along despite the fact that we don't agree with each other, then, you know, what's the point of it? You know, and yeah, just like the hateful comments when people get to the point of where they're threatening and abusive. I just think it's very sad. And it's the side of the industry that I think needs to change, and it doesn't change unless people that are either watching the show or out there start to make it change a little bit. And without that sounding too fucking sappy in a soapbox, I just think it's one of those things where, you know, all right, Graham and I have spoken about this, where we've sort of said sometimes maybe we're the problem and we should be putting more positive stuff out there. And we've talked about for 2020 doing more positive stuff. But at the same time, people that are sending out hateful and abusive messages, you're not wanted, not needed, and should seriously go choke yourself somewhere.
Nice.
Great way to finish that, Jim. You were so composed until the end. But couldn't agree more. This show is all about having conversations, about discussions. You don't have to agree with it. Just read the comment section. At the end of the day, it's all about highlighting different aspects of airsoft, stuff that some people thought about, stuff that people maybe be bored about, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. But there's definitely no need for the hate. And one thing for this show, and something that we're definitely striving for next year, is to have kind of more insightful and educational conversations. Of course, entertaining as well, but definitely less hate. So that's definitely one for 2020. Angelo, last comments before we end the show for this week. Over to you, pal.
Yeah, just one love. Everybody, listen. You know, life's too short to fall out. You know, this is supposed to be a game, innit? You know, it was supposed to be all, you know, playing together. People take it too seriously. Just pack it in, yeah. Just, you know, just get on and play the game. You know, and I've got more than enough time for anybody. I totally agree with what Jim just said there. Jim, whatever you do, mate, don't ever think about backing it in. Yeah, just because of somebody's comments or somebody who's really sad and can't move on. All I would say is we've got a fantastic community in the UK. Let's just keep it that way. And that's me.
Brilliant. With that said, guys, girls, thank you so much for watching another episode. Tune in next Monday for our last show of the year, and we'll be having a Christmas special. Until then, have a fantastic week. Definitely go check out the Specna Arms. All the links are in the bottom, from the group to the website to Angelo's profile as well, so you can send him all your questions. Jim's profile's down there, so you can ask for all your patches. And you know what? Just send your hate my way because I can deal with it.
Well,
Have a good week, Hill.
I had to make my profile private this week. So no patches.
Don't forget me back, Jim.
Next week's P90 special.
I won't tune in for that one.